We got some crazy weather updates that you guys need to know about. Yeah, I'm talking about the Atlantic Ocean. Florida could get hit. Then you got the Sahara dust that's supposed to be worse than it ever has been, and it's supposed to make landfall in the U.S. and affect much of the U.S. And storm trackers are following that's about to hit the Pacific side of the United States as well. And after that, I got to get the women some important information that you're not going to want to miss. Yeah, popular over-the-counter drugs have been tied to cancer. And to top that off, women products having toxic pesticide levels 40 times over the amount than they're allowed to. Let's keep this short and punchy, get you the information that you need right now. Hey guys, my name is Cohen here at Riverside Homestead, and if you're brand new here, welcome. And if you guys are into prepping tips, emergency preparedness, and most important, news and awareness that affects you, be sure to start this video off with a like, hit that notification bell so you guys can stay up to date, and let's begin. And hey, thanks for starting this off with a like. Really helps it reach more folks. All kinds of meteorologists and news pages are writing about the United States has had 4 Category 5 strikes since 1951. All of them were only tropical storms 3 days before landfall. And you can see the map right here. The crazy thing is between 13 and 19 named storms are expected in 2025, including 7 to 10 hurricanes and 3 to 5 major hurricanes to reach category strength 3 or higher. And before we get to the Sahara dust that's supposed to hit the United States, worse than they've ever seen, here's the hurricane forecast.
Let's talk about the forecast that was just issued to the public here this morning.
Yeah, the work doesn't stop during the off season. We've been busy all winter preparing the hurricane forecast for this upcoming season. So for this year, we're forecasting 13 to 18 named storms across the Atlantic Basin, 7 to 10 of which we expect to become hurricanes. And then of those 7 to 10, 3 to 5 major hurricanes. That's category 3 or above. But the number that everybody wants to know about, how many impacts for the United States. Last year, we saw 6, a very, very destructive year. This year, we're forecasting 3 to 6 hits on the United States.
So overall, not as busy as last year, but still at or above the historical averages. All right, Alex, everybody wants to know, what goes in to making this forecast?
Yeah, there's many factors we look at, and we'll go one by one here. Number one factor that we look for is this transition from La Nina to probably neutral for most of the season. Right now, the waters in the eastern Pacific, a little bit cooler than average, but during the whole entire season, we're expecting things to be right around neutral, but a lot of times those neutral patterns can be very, very close to La Ninas, and when you see that, that indicates less than or lower than average wind shear across the Atlantic Basin, which can allow for more hurricanes to form.
All right, also, let's talk about this. With that neutral phase, something that you told me about that I was unaware of, you tend to get more waves coming off Africa, which means more opportunity for storms.
Yeah, it's kind of a delicate balance because if you are, a lot of storms will come off of Africa, and the beefier that they are, the better chance they have to develop. And during a neutral year, we can sometimes get these strong storms to come off of Africa and then develop. But if they're too strong, they can actually bring in some dry air with them. So it's a delicate balance here. If we get these storms to be a little bit too strong, they can actually bring a lot of African dust in. And that would actually be a good thing, because that would actually choke off some of those waves emerging from Africa.
And that's exactly what's happening right now. Major African dust. Let me show you some images, because they're saying that it's bigger, more powerful, and this stuff's actually going to reach inland to the U.S. So buckle up if you haven't experienced that yet. Right now, my feeds are clogged up with images like this, and news agencies, the Sahara dust is back. It arrives next week in Florida with hazy skies and lower air quality due to the Sahara dust. And you guys can see here in the image, this is just a huge conglomerate of dust that's going to head right up and into the inland U.S. Sometimes I wonder, what's the dust carrying from Africa? We all know some other things that happen over there that some people might find a little bit suspect, but I mean, that's a big air system that could move not only dust over here. I mean, that's speculative, but seriously. Here's another one from Fox 35. The Sahara dust is firmly stretched into the Caribbean. Check out this cam out at St. Lucia. Skies are hazy and the visibility is reduced several miles. This is headed to Florida next week. It'll create hazy skies, reduce air quality with high particulates and microscopic bits of dust, and you're going to be inhaling a little bit of Africa and whatever comes with it. Here's another one I got, Mike's weather page, dust in the wild and not from Kansas. Big plume of Sahara dust from Africa is entering the Caribbean. Currently looks of reach of the Gulf region middle next week. This helps disrupt the atmosphere and usually slows tropical development chances. So if you think that this might be controlled, maybe they're doing it to slow down the roll on hurricanes, but who knows? Maybe it's all natural. Can't really say. Now, the cool thing about it, it makes bright sunsets and sunrises due to the particles of sand in the air and sun reflection. Some models teased a tropical wave about the same time, but nothing solid on it. Still no worry. Moisture chances could increase for some in the Western Caribbean Gulf depending on the direction and flow. Now that's true. If you're down in the Gulf area, Florida, the Caribbean, you're gonna notice some very pink, beautiful sunsets and sunrises. But at what risk? What are we breathing in? Now before we get to what the women need to be worried about, we also got stuff coming from the Pacific. We've got Brooks Garner Fox 35 reporting Thursday, 5/29. The Eastern Pacific first tropical system has formed. Tropical Depression 1E. You can see this thing moving right up. Looks like it's gonna smack Mexico, but may swing higher. Popular over-the-counter drugs used to treat uncomfortable urinary tract infections may come with a potential cancer risk. Now they're saying the drug is called phenazophrine hydrochloride that is found in many pills, both generic and name brand. Look folks, a lot of people use this. Think about how many people you know that has had a urinary tract infection. I've heard it off and on over the years and does not seem very uncommon. Now whether it's generic or name brand, this is used for urinary tract infections. Women are typically at higher risk for that than men for those specific kind of infections. The pill, many of which who sell for less than $15, are used to help reduce pain. Now think about it. All of the stuff out there, pharmaceuticals that you can use to aid to some kind of ailment, very expensive, right? These ones are very cheap. Lots of people are using them. In fact, millions have used OTC for years. Now, for people thinking that the population thing seems like an easy avenue from that perspective. Now, the thing is this is something that even the OBGYNs weren't even aware of. And they're saying many women are at risk if they use this. Now, if you guys are looking for something that's much safer for you, I'll put something down in the description. But I'm reading that this azo, the drug they're talking about, most likely has a dangerous chemical in it. I'm also reading that this azo is a dye that works as a painkiller to soothe the lining of the urinary tract. The azo is available under the following different brand name: Azo Standard, Pritium, Protium, Pyridite, Peridium, Uricalm, Urodyne, and UTI Relief. That's got a lot of names. And when you think you're sidetracking it and getting something better, no, it falls under all those names. Now, I was sent some other awesome information. Here you go. Uses and side effects and more. I'll leave a link to this down in the description so you guys can read it yourself. A little bit alarming. It's got that list that I just read off. It's got example dosages and strengths, and it's got the most common side effects: upset stomach, orangish red pee, headache, rash, itching. Have you had that? How about the serious side effects? Breathing problems or wheezing, racing heart, fever or general ill feeling, swollen lymph nodes, swelling of the face, lips, mouth, tongue, or throat, trouble swallowing or throat tightness, itching or skin rash, bumps on the skin called hives that can be red, pink, white, brown, depending on your skin tone, nausea and vomiting, dizziness, feeling lightheaded or fainting, stomach cramps, joint pain. Look, if you've got a safe alternative like I mentioned earlier, you might want to pick that over all this. Now, Pritium is used to reduce the pain, the painful side effects of having a UTI. And notice this, no cancer warnings on the side effects. And very used website, still no warnings whatsoever. This is why I'm letting you guys know this, because the word needs to get out. Now back to this article. Again, they're $15, help to reduce the pain, burning, irritation associated with infections. They promise relief in as little as 20 minutes, but at what cost? Azo hydrochloride has been used for decades and is not approved by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. Now, how do you figure that is possible? Now, recent studies have raised questions about its use. In quotes, there is no need for this drug. Rita Jew, who serves as the president of the Institute for Safe Medication Practices, told Bloomberg, folks, millions of gals use this. No warnings, huge concerns. Please share this video because this right here is kind of a big deal. It also quotes, the data available from the epidemiological studies are inadequate to evaluate the relationship between human cancer and exposure specifically to the azo hydrochloride, the report said. Like I said, widespread. There are more than 8 million related visits to healthcare providers in the US each year to treat UTI. According to the American Urological Association, many people experience repeat infections, and around 60% of women and 12% of men will have at least one UTI during their lifetime. And if you notice, the labels on the drugs recognize that there is a risk associated with the products. In quotes, the product contains azo hydrochloride known to the state of California to cause cancer, the azo label says. So you've got California being upfront, but the rest of the United States, you guys might be gambling. And here's the crazy thing, folks, the physicians, they don't know anything about this. They only know what they've been taught. Practitioners, right? Says still even physicians may not have heard about the ties to cancer. In quotes, it's the first time I'm even hearing about this. I'm totally unaware. That's coming from the New York-based gynecologist Stephen Goldstein, who also told Bloomberg. Now, do you need some pain relief during a UTI? Yes. Anyone that's had one would tell you they might possibly take the risk, but there are safe alternatives out there that may lead to going down a road, not having to go down this road. And I've got one more warning coming, just hang tight. This person says, the person who said there is no reason for these drugs has clearly never had a UTI before. Like I said, it's painful. Sometimes those little pea orange pills are the only thing to save your sanity until the antibiotics kick in. Lots of women agreeing. Next gal, Debbie, says, I will continue to use it anyway. Other people saying certain natural teas have worked. Other people talking about the cranberry extract, which I'm sure some of you have heard. Other people having good advice like this. Stop drinking pop and juice with high sugar. The body is 70 to 80% water and you won't get a UTI. Plus, cancer feeds on sugar. And look, that might be quite possibly true. The reason for getting them might be due to the diet. But like I said, I'll leave a link down in the description if you guys want to look into something that's natural, brand new that we have access to, and known to be a safe alternative. But women, if you're still with me, it's not the only thing to be worried about. Now we've got this. This article coming from The Guardian, toxic pesticide levels. Now stop. Pesticide levels. Why are they even in our products to begin with? There's a safe level that's allowed, which just blows my mind. But check this out. Toxic pesticide levels found in tampons 40 times higher than the legal limit for water. That doesn't sound good. It says traces of glyphosate and pesticides linked to cancer have been found at very high levels in menstrual products, according to the report by the Pesticides Auction Network, Women's Environmental Network, and Pesticide Collaboration. Boy, does that sound wrong. And it's alarming. It says concerning, according to the authors, because chemicals absorbed through that area down there directly enter the bloodstream, bypassing the body's detoxification systems. This means even small traces of chemicals in direct contact with that area could cause health risks. Let's just throw some chemicals there and see if it absorbs or not. And I'm talking pesticides. It says glyphosate is the world's most widely used herbicide, but a review in the International Agency for Research on Cancer, part of the World Health Organization, the WHO, classified the weed killer as probably carcinogenic to humans. How can they even get away with the word probably? It also has been linked to development of Parkinson's. Great. And emerging research has raised concerns about links to other serious health conditions as well. Yeah, I wouldn't be sticking any of that down there or anywhere else. Now, Amy Helly, she puts a good point here. From the Pesticides Collaboration said, if this level of glyphosate is deemed to be unsafe in water we drink, then why is it allowed to appear in period products? They said, in our investigation reveals that women, girls, and those who menstruate may not be protected from the exposure to the harmful chemicals. And yet, most people remain completely unaware that this is even an issue. Jesse Cohen, the interim director, stated, we are genuinely shocked to find glyphosate in tampons sitting on consumer shelves. Also said that the harmful chemical is already impossible to avoid since it's sprayed by councils in the streets, in parks and contaminates much of our food and water due to overuse in farming. So anyway, I'll stop on that topic because all I wanted to do is scratch the surface so you guys are aware. I'll try to leave links to these articles down in the description so you guys can further investigate. But wholeheartedly, honestly, I had to get you this information because it's that important. Now, one thing you guys could do for me is make sure you hit that thumbs up, share this out so more folks are aware of what's going on. Let me know if you found value, and be sure to hit that notification if you guys want to stay up to date on stuff like this, because I got a lot more coming down the pipe. If you guys missed these 2 videos here, also very important information. Working on a couple other really good videos that we'll see you on. Keep prepping, keep learning, keep doing. We'll see you on the next one.